Good morning. Welcome to Orange Coast Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Joel Ibanez, and I am your worship associate today. I'm joined by our minister, Reverend Sian Wiltshire, who will be speaking to you today about the gifts of Buddhism, one of the many interesting world denominations that we have so much to learn from. Also here are our co-music directors, Steve Morihiro and Susan Shaw, with guest musicians Rose Lodwick and Zeno Mueller, that we just had the gift of hearing this morning. Also with us are Danielle Lewis, our Director of Religious Education for Children and Youth. We all welcome you this morning. Whether you've been coming here for years, weeks, hours, or are you like parks, beaches, or flowers? Yes, I like that. I'm sorry. We are glad that you chose to be with us this fine day. I want to extend a special welcome to visitors. If you're seeking a spiritual home here, we hope that you will find it here. We are a community of many different identities and beliefs, and we are bound together not by dogmas, beliefs, creeds, or fears, but rather a covenant to create a welcoming, inclusive, and loving community. We need not think alike to love alike. In the spirit of building this community, let's recognize the many volunteers who have helped. There they are. Are they up here? The many volunteers who have helped us to put the service together today. Thank you for your time and talent. Roomers, we invite you to silence your cell phones so that we may continue the service smoothly. And Zoomers, we invite you to say hello in the chat. As we worship today, let us acknowledge that our church property rests on the sacred, ancestral homelands of the Ahachiman and Tongva peoples who seek justice and responsible stewardship. We begin our worship with the lighting of our chalice. So please join me in saying our unison affirmation as we light this. Love is the spirit of the church, and service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to help one another. This we affirm together. And now, please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing our opening song.
I am the calm. the calm. Take a breath. I'm the calm.
Today we're exploring the gifts of Buddhism, and so I thought I'd start with a popular Buddhist parable. Two monks were walking towards the river to the only passable section within several miles, and as they approached the bank, they noticed a woman standing there alone. And the monks of their order took vows that had prohibited them from touching or even interacting with women. And the younger monk was greatly concerned at the woman's presence there. As they approached, the woman lamented her inability to cross the river and entreated them to help her. "Please help me cross this river," she said. And the younger monk, sticking to his vows, ignored the woman's pleas and would not even look at her. The elder monk, however, after failing to persuade the woman of the safety of this crossing, picked her up in his arms and carried her across to the other side. On the opposite bank, the elder monk set the woman on her feet, and the two monks and the woman parted ways. For several miles, the younger monk grew more and more agitated by his companion's actions, until finally the elder monk asked what was troubling him. "Brother," the younger monk said, "you know we are forbidden to touch or speak to women, and yet you conversed with her and carried her in your arms across the river." The elder monk looked at his companion and said, "I left the woman at the side of the river. Why are you still carrying her?"
Today's Time for All Ages is a story of Sitara, the Buddha. More than 2,500 years ago, in the foothills of the Himalayan mountains in India, there lived a king and a wise king and queen. They were loved by their people, and when their son was born, there was a great celebration throughout the land. The baby prince was named Sitara. Soon after his birth, the king invited the wise advisors to predict the child's future. They told him something surprising. If the prince had ever seen someone who was old, someone who was sick, a dead person, and a holy monk, he would leave the palace and give up his life as prince. The king loved his son very much and wanted him to become a great ruler, so he decided to protect Sitara from anything painful or upsetting. The prince grew up strong, healthy, and kind. He lived in a beautiful palace surrounded by gardens filled with flowers, fountains, and singing birds. The king made sure Sitara was always surrounded by young, healthy, and happy people. No one who was old or sick was allowed near the palace. The king hoped this would keep his son from ever thinking about suffering. But Sitara was a deep thinker, even with all of his comfort and luxuries. He wondered why people and animals sometimes seemed unhappy. He asked questions about life and felt that something important was missing. When Sitara was older, his father arranged for him to marry. The king even built a palace for the young couple, filled with music, dancers, and celebrations. Still, Sitara felt curious about the world beyond the palace walls. He wanted to understand how ordinary people lived. One day, Sitara quietly left the palace with his, I'm going to say this completely wrong, sorry guys, charioteer, and went into the town. There he saw something he had never seen before, an old man with white hair and wrinkled skin, walking slowly with a stick. Sitara was shocked. Shannon explained that everyone grows one day. That night, Sitara laid awake, troubling by his new understanding. On another journey, Sitara saw a man lying on the ground, moaning in pain. Shannon told him the man was sick and the sickness can come to anyone, even the king and princes. Sitara felt great compassion and sorrow. On a third journey, Sitara saw 4 people carrying a body on a stretcher. Shannon explained to the man that the man had died and all the people must die someday. Sitara realized that no one can escape old age, sickness, or even death. He knew he could no longer ignore these truths. Later, Sitara saw something different, a man wearing a simple yellow robe, walking calmly and peacefully. The man was a monk. Shannon explained that the monk had given up wealth and comfort to search for freedom and suffering. Sitara felt inspired. He knew in his heart that he wanted to follow his path. The same night, Sitara's wife gave birth to a baby boy. Sitara loved his family deeply, but he also felt a strong calling. One night, while everyone slept, he quietly said goodbye, promising himself that he would return once he understood how suffering could end. Sitara became a wonder seeker, begging for food and learning from many teachers. He tried deep meditations and even harsh practices, starving his body in hopes of finding truth. But none of these were extremes. Neither the pleasures of palace nor the denials of food brought him peace. One day he heard musicians say, "If a string is pulled too tight, it will break. If it's too loose, it will not play." Suddenly, Sitara understood the best path in the middle way. Not too extreme, not too easy. Regaining his strength, Stara sat beneath the bonsai tree and vowed not to rise until he understood the nature of suffering. With patience and compassion, he saw that suffering comes from greed, selfishness, and that kindness, wisdom, and understanding that leads to peace. At the age of 35, Stara became enlightened. He was now the Buddha, which means the enlightened one. He spent the rest of his life teaching others how to live with compassion and wisdom, so that all beings might find freedom from suffering. And his family, he went back to them and he shared what he had learned from them, and that they helped spread his compassion throughout the land. The end. I join you in singing Our Children Out.
Our reading today comes from Karen Armstrong. If you don't know who Karen Armstrong is, she's just an amazing writer of world religions. And she wrote a book, I think it was back in 2001, on the Buddha. And she wrote this about Siddhartha and the Buddha. She said, many aspects of the Buddha's quest will appeal to the modern ethos. His scrupulous empiricism is especially congenial to the pragmatic tenor of our own Western culture, together with his demand for intellectual and personal independence. Those who find the idea of a supernatural God alien will also warm to the Buddha's refusal to affirm a supreme being. Those who have become weary of the intolerance of some forms of institutional religiosity will also welcome the Buddha's emphasis on compassion and loving kindness. But the Buddha is also a challenge because he is more radical than most of us. There is a creeping new orthodoxy in modern society that is sometimes called positive thinking. At its worst, the habit of optimism allows us to bury our heads in the sand, deny the ubiquity of pain in ourselves and others, and to immure ourselves in a state of deliberate heartlessness to ensure our emotional survival. The Buddha would have had no time for this. In his view, the spiritual life cannot begin until people allow themselves to be invaded by the reality of suffering. Let me say that again. In his view, the spiritual life cannot begin until people allow themselves to be invaded by the reality of suffering. To realize how fully it permeates our whole experience and feel the pain of all other beings, even those whom we do not find congenial. She continues, it is also true that most of us are not prepared for the degree of the Buddha's self-abandonment. We know that egotism is a bad thing. We know that all the great world traditions urge us to transcend our selfishness. But when we seek liberation, in either a religious or a secular guise, we really want to enhance our own sense of self. A good deal of what passes for religion is often designed to prop up or endorse the ego that the founders of the faith told us to abandon. We assume that a person like the Buddha, who has apparently, and after a great struggle, vanquished all selfishness, will become inhuman, humorless, grim. Yet that does not seem to have been true of the Buddha. He may have been impersonal, but the state he achieved inspired an extraordinary emotion in all who met him. The constant, even relentless degree of gentleness, fairness, equanimity, impartiality, and serenity acquired by the Buddha touched a chord and resonated with some of our deepest yearnings. People were not repelled by his dispassionate calm, not daunted by his lack of preference for one thing, one person over another. Instead, they were drawn to the Buddha and flocked to him. He was a haven of peace in a violent world of clamorous egotism. Thus ends our reading. So I'd invite you into a time of just a short meditation to consider these words. If you want to just take some deep breaths, just soften your eyes or close them if you like. If you want to think about what might it look like in your own life to face suffering honestly, without turning away or rushing to positive thinking. When you're ready, I invite you to join Amy in singing, Filled with Loving Kindness.
May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be whole. May we be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be whole. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be whole.
I'll just add out, I love Buddhism. I explored a lot of different religions, and Buddhism was, I came very close to becoming a full-on Buddhist. In fact, you could say that Buddhism was how I became, or certainly how I was drawn to Unitarian Universalism. There's a name for us. They call us Buddhitarians. I was deeply drawn to its philosophy, especially its emphasis on compassion. And Buddhism also, because it spoke to my head and to my heart. It didn't ask me to give up my intelligence. It asked me simply to open my heart. It felt very honest, it felt very grounded, practical, and very balanced. But I have to admit, when I went to looking for community, I found myself just a little lost. I went to what's called a sangha. It's kind of like a congregation, but it's a little bit closer really to a classroom. I remember we would sit on the floor while the teacher sat in a chair and lectured for almost 2 hours. And there really wasn't much chance for questions. There was meditation, but very little conversation. There was no coffee hour. There were no small groups to join, no potlucks. There was really no way to kind of get involved. So it was very much kind of a student-teacher relationship, not so much of a community relationship, which I really wanted, if you kind of know what I mean. But I very much enjoy the philosophy. But Buddhism, just so you know, it's a very wide tent. And most of what I was actually discovering was Western Buddhism. It's a distilled form brought to the U.S. by people who trained in the monasteries and teachers across Asia. Traditional Buddhist temples will still have, even gods and rituals that for most part come from they have strong cultural undercurrents, as it were, depending on the form of Buddhism. But Western Buddhism is kind of American, right? It's more about the core philosophy that's stripped of much of its cultural traditions. So when I'm talking today about the gifts of Buddhism, I want to be clear that I'm focusing really on the gifts that have shaped me through really Western Buddhism, okay? And I have to admit that this was really hard to narrow down because I believe that Buddhism has actually given so much to the world. But you're going to get Sean's take today. And I'm going to start really with the basics, because I believe that the gifts of Buddhism are found in what are known as the Four Noble Truths. Okay, these are the foundation of every Buddhist tradition out there. They're kind of like Christianity's golden rule or the 5 pillars of Islam, right? Every Buddhist tradition starts here, and like Christianity and Islam, there are different branches of Buddhism. And as Danielle mentioned, Buddhism began about 2,500 years ago in India and spread across Asia, with Mahayana and Theravada being the 2 biggest branches, and each of them having smaller branches themselves. And you'll note that Buddhism started as an offshoot of Hinduism, okay? Much like Christianity is an offshoot of Judaism, and it has many of the same beliefs of Hinduism, so like it believes in karma and reincarnation, that kind of thing. But honestly, it didn't really stick as much in India. It really spread elsewhere throughout Asia. And really kind of grew from there. Now, these are the most popular forms of the different Buddhist traditions. There's a quiz later, just so you know. No, I'm kidding. I just point this out here just so you kind of know, like, that there's different branches of things, and they have different emphasis on things. The third one of the Tibetan, that's the one, the Dalai Lama. It's a little bit more mystical type of thing. It kind of basically enlightenment comes fuel for everything that's out there. But they all have their sort of different emphasis about the way that they do that. But all of these different traditions, however, though they may be different paths to enlightenment or to awakening, however you want to think about it, they have the same core truths, which is the Four Noble Truths. They all start from that same place, no matter what it is. You can think of this as like Catholic, Protestant, whatever, like all those different ways of doing it. All right, so the very first one, the first noble truth is this: life includes pain. Right? We heard Karen Armstrong talking about that in our reading. Now, that always sort of seemed like a strange thing for a tradition that's rooted in compassion right? That it begins with this noble truth: life is pain, right? But compassion literally means to suffer with, right? Passion means suffering, right? So when you talk about the passion of Christ, you're talking about suffering with Christ. Compassion, means with, to suffer with, compassion, right? So Buddhism does not deny pain, doesn't minimize it, it names it. And pain shows up in everyday, ordinary ways. Someone says something mean to you. Sean, red does not look good on you. Fine. You get cut off in traffic, right? And your fear spikes, right? Your heart races, right? Or maybe you lose your job. You miss a payment and you worry about eviction. There's a big pain. Or someone carries a woman across a river and you're judging them in your head, right? Breaking their vows. Can you believe it? Right? Hurt, anxiety, grief, annoyance. That first sharp bite of a hard emotion, that is the pain that occurs almost every single day of our lives, and it can be big, it can be small. Now, this pain, by the way, is not the same as sin. Buddhism does not say that pain happens because you deserve it, or because you failed, or because God is punishing you. Pain is not moral in Buddhism. I think of this as a gift because it's honest and non-judgmental. The first noble truth basically said, this is what happens and what it means to be human. Or, maybe in less religious language, shit happens. And Buddhism doesn't rush to explain pain away. It doesn't insist that there's always a lesson to be learned. It doesn't say everything happens for a reason. It simply says this is real. And that honesty alone can be just kind of a profound relief. So that's the first noble truth. Pain happens. And luckily, the second gift of Buddhism is that it doesn't leave us there. It offers us a second gift. And the second gift is the second noble truth, is that we don't have to suffer from that pain. So the second noble truth is that while pain is inevitable, suffering is not. And suffering and pain, they're actually two different things. Suffering happens when we cling or become attached to, when we hold tightly to that pain or fear, those stories we tell ourselves and others. Pain is that initial moment, the hurt, the fear, the anger, the grief, whatever it is. Suffering is what happens next. When the mind grabs on, when we replay that moment over and over, and we tell ourselves things like, I lost my job because I'm a failure. That person cut me off and they must be a really awful person. They were mean to me because I deserve it. Or that monk, I can't believe he's carrying that woman across the river. I mean, can you believe it? He broke his vows. And he's going on and on and on for miles, not saying anything. Our minds ruminate, they exaggerate, they run around like a monkey squawking from tree to tree, right? And in fact, the Buddhists call this the monkey mind, because that's what the mind does, right? That clinging, that is the suffering. And most of us know what that feels like, right? You lie awake at night and the mind just is spinning and spinning, right? And maybe you actually wake up in the morning and the mind is still spinning and spinning. And finally, when you can let it go, it's such a relief to let that go. And we cling not just to emotions or thoughts, but also to things as well. To jobs, to status, possessions, power, to ego. We become attached to these things. You hear a lot about attachment in Buddhism. There's a great Buddhist joke, right? Did you hear the one about the Buddhist vacuum cleaner? It comes with no attachments. We think these attachments are who we are, that they define us. This is what Buddhism says, that we're so attached to things, whether it's our ego, our thoughts, the things, our car, our house, whatever it is, right? We're afraid to let go, so we grasp and we hold on even tighter. And in doing so, we create more suffering because, oh my goodness, what happens if something like that goes away? We see this playing in our world right now, right? The grasping for oil in Venezuela. But let's look at immigration. Fear has taken hold. Fear of the other. Fear of losing control, fear of scarcity. It started with fear of jobs being taken, which wasn't true. Immigrants were taking jobs that nobody wanted. And then there were fear of crime rising, which wasn't true. And that fear turned to clinging, to borders, to power, to domination, to putting up walls, literally. And the result becomes immense pain. And immigrant communities and families and activists and all of us who are witnessing it. And now we have almost like a Gestapo-like police invading homes, schools, churches, and even killing people, trying to control what is uncontrollable. When attachment to power hardens into cruelty, pain spreads, leading to more and more suffering, more and more clinging to power, fear, and ego. And Buddhism, what I love about it is that it names this clearly and compassionately. And it says this is what clinging does. This is suffering. And the good news, the gift of Buddhism, is that it doesn't have to be this way. That is the third gift of Buddhism and the third noble truth, right? Is that suffering can end. Pain will always be there. Pain will happen. I love the story about the Dalai Lama when he said, somebody asked him, he said, well, did you mourn when your father died? Did you feel anything? And he said, of course I grieved. I allow myself to feel that. And then I let go. He didn't hold on to it. He let it go. But he's going to feel that. It's not about not feeling. Pain will arise. But suffering, the mental, emotional spiraling, does not have to run our lives. The clinging to power, to ego, to things can end. When we loosen our grip, when we stop clinging, something unexpected happens. Because what's left is not emptiness or coldness, as Karen Armstrong tells us. What's left at our core, what the Buddhists found unmistakably, oddly enough, against all, when you blow away all that superfluous stuff, when the suffering ends, when you get rid of what you thought you were, your ego, your sense of self, all your defense mechanisms, the accumulations of wealth, power, ego, the barriers you put up, what is left? Love. It's weird. But that's what they found. That we are at our deepest core. When all that other stuff is gone, when we stop our attachment to things, we are deeply, unequivocally, even scientifically they have found, deeply compassionate beings. That's what it actually means to be enlightened. To wake up is to wake up to that core that is deeply within us. That's why people flocked to the Buddha, as Karen Armstrong pointed out. It's probably why they did to Jesus as well. When we can awaken to that deep core of love inside ourselves, people are drawn to that calm, that serenity. It's not just knowing, it's knowing that you are holy love, divine love at your core. Yes, amen. This is one of the Buddhist greatest paradoxes. When we let go of the stories that prop up the ego, we don't become less human, we become more human, more open, more kind, more capable of joy and laughter and love. And can you tell why I love Buddhism? This is why. So, how do we do this? How do you open your heart that way, right? How do we let go and awaken to this true self, this compassion or love that is really us? Well, of course, the Buddhists have it figured out. That is the fourth noble truth and their fourth gift to us. It is known as the Eightfold Path. Now, I love this. They have the Four Noble Truth, the Eightfold Path. It's like the 7 habits of highly effective people, right? The Buddhists they're so practical. They've got like the 5 precepts of something. Like they love their numbers, right? They're very practical people. I love them. They're so wonderful that way. Okay, it's a very practical, grounded philosophy. All right. Now, this is, of course, why there are so many different Buddhist traditions, because each one of them kind of go to a different degree on the Eightfold Path. They pretty much all agree on the Eightfold Path, but they just emphasize different parts of it. Okay, so the Buddhists offered the Eightfold Path not as a rigid checklist. Okay, I'm just telling you right now, it's a guide for living wisely and compassionately. Okay, so we're going to go through and some questions you can ask yourself about this, because I think it's very practical. There's a lot more to this, obviously. There's sutras, there's all sorts of kind of things. This is a very simplified version of Buddhism I'm giving you right now. But this is where we're going today. All right, in the 20, 30 minutes I have to tell you about things. All right, first of all, the Eightfold Path. One is called right understanding or right view. And one thing you can ask yourself is, am I seeing what's really there or what I want to see? Ooh, really good question to ask yourself, huh? All right. Then there's right intention. All right. Am I committed to living compassionately? Am I really committed to living compassionately? Right speech. How are my words affecting others? Right action. Do I practice what I preach? Try. Right livelihood. Am I earning a living that lives my values? Right effort. Am I pushing myself too hard or not hard enough? Right mindfulness. Am I in the moment? This is a hard one for me. Right concentration. Am I focusing on the right things? Now, all of this is practice, right? And there are, as you can imagine, people have tons of different ways that they practice all of this. This is not dogma, but this is a start. And it sounds so simple, right? Ethical living, mindfulness, compassion. So why isn't everybody just enlightened and awakened, right? Why is it so hard? Because life is painful. We go back to the first couple of the Noble Truths, right? This is hard. Pain arises, we cling, and we forget, right? And so Buddhists, they just keep practicing. And that's all we can do. That's all of us can do, right? Just keep trying. And it isn't easy. But I think it's a wonderful gift to the world that they give us this wonderful way of seeing the world that is practical and grounded and gives us a pathway forward if we want to use it. I want to give you one last gift from Buddhism. It's the final words of the Buddha. And Karen Armstrong, she hinted at this in the very beginning about his independence, his empirical thinking. He was all about, as you noticed in the story in The Time for All Ages, that he tried himself. He's like, well, I tried, living in a palace. I tried starving myself and beating myself. That didn't work. I'm going to try all these different things myself. At the end of his life, according to the different scriptures, the sutras out there, he offered these words, these final words to his followers. He said, "Be a lamp unto yourself. Be your own refuge. Seek no other. Fill your mind with compassion. All things will pass away. Strive on with diligence." It's interesting, the Buddha did not tell people to worship him. He did not tell them to surrender their thinking. He told them to trust their own capacity to know and to understand, to test their teaching in their own lives. He knew that there was a lot of contradictory religions and ideas and philosophies out there. And he said, trust yourself. Try it out. See what you think. Just try it out. So his last message was this simple gift. Be a light. Be a light, first to yourself, and then with compassion bursting out of you, you will be a light unto others. So, let us sing. We'll join Rose in singing. Rose, who is our new leader in song, joining the choir, who's stepping forward to shine her light with this little light of mine. Please rise in body or spirit.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Unitarian Universalist congregations are fully self-supporting, meaning that members and friends raise all funds for the operating budget, ministers and friends, meaning that members and friends, raise all funds for the operating budget, ministries, and programs of the church. We are ever grateful for your gifts of time, treasure, and talent. OCUUC amplifies this spirit of generosity by sharing half of the plate we receive with an organization that shares our values. And this month, we are partnering with Tilly's Life Center, a group that takes proactive and preventive approach to the growing social, emotional crises affecting OC teens today by developing curriculum that helps them adopt proactive mental wellness solutions. After all, a little THC can go a long way. And there are, what? TLC, did I say THC? I said THC. You got me on that one, okay. A little TLC can go a long way. There are multiple ways in which you can support the church and this organization. You can mail a check, you can go to our website, or you can use an app called Vanco Mobile. If you're a roomer, you can simply go ahead and use the basket as it's passed. The choice is yours. All the information is on our website, should you need it. As always, thank you for your generosity.
Please join in singing We Gather Together, a song that puts our intentions into words and expresses our gratitude for the many gifts we share. We gather together, we gather as one, for peace, love, and justice for everyone. We give from our hearts to show that we care. We can change lives with what we share.
Well, now is that time when we honor the important events and people in our lives, and you are invited, one and all, whether you're a member, a friend, or a visitor, to participate in this weekly ritual we call Joys and Sorrows. So I'd like to invite Bertie Reed up here to help. She's one of our Pastoral Care Associate team members, and she's here to assist you in lighting candles. And the idea is if you've come here today holding something close to your heart, moments from the last days, weeks, or hours, something that struck you at your core, if you'd like to honor a profound joy or sorrow, you're invited to do so. If you're a roomer, you're invited to come forward and to light a candle. And if you'd like to share your joy or sorrow out loud, you can write it on a slip of paper that the ushers can pass out right now. If you didn't get one when you first came in, simply write it out and hand it to me, and I'll read it out loud once the candles are all lit. If you're a Zoomer, you are invited to write your joy or sorrow in the chat. And then Bertie will light a candle for you after I've read the rumors ones out loud. So as Zeno continues to play absolutely beautiful music, I invite you to silently offer healing or celebration as you feel called and according to your own beliefs. Please come forward. so much going on right now. Sandy Martin lit a candle of celebration. If you notice these beautiful flowers over here, they're in honor of the 75th birthday of Aaron Neustadt, who's out of town, but he wanted to show share his flowers with us. So there's a giant birthday card for him out on the table if you'd like to sign that later as well. I also want to point out, and I'm not going to say the actual birth date, but tomorrow, the 12th, is somebody's birthday. So wait a minute, let me calculate here, because I do actually know. Wait a minute, so 70 plus. Birdie, we get to sing you happy birthday. Because if you're over a certain date, we get to sing you happy birthday. Can we sing her happy birthday? All right. Happy. Okay, it's one day till 90, but it's close enough. Happy birthday, Birdie. All right, and Carrie A. lit a candle of gratitude, she said, for Tony, my partner in life, on his birthday. She says, so synergistic that Reverend Sean's beautiful sermon today was on Buddhism, since it was the teaching of Buddha that brought us together 40 years ago. Congratulations. And Judith S., she lit a candle of joy for a new baby in the family. She says, welcome Sadie Mae Smith. Excellent. And an anonymous person lit a candle of joy and beauty. She says, thank you, Zeno, for the intensely beautiful music, just what our collective souls needed. Amen. And Amelia lit a candle of sorrow. She said, today is my mom's first birthday since her passing last month. I'm sorry, Amelia. So Bella S. has a candle of joy. She says, after 6 years of not driving, I've been approved for my driver's license back to get it back this year. So congratulations, Bella. And Alejandro, he lit a candle. He said, for a candle of hope, he said, speaking of suffering, I want to light a candle of hope for a loved one and all of those who suffer from addiction. Amen. And James and Kayla lit a candle of joy. They said, unexpected support from a beloved that embodies love for community. You're welcome. All right. And Diane C., she lit a candle of sorrow. Oh, this is hard. For witnessing ICE detaining a gardener working and feeling helplessness. And Patrick also lit a candle. He said, while his housing situation is wrought with uncertainty and anxiety, this past week a new neighbor inexplicably spat on him. She had been banging violently at all hours. Finding the middle path is often challenging. It is. This is why it's really, really hard. I'm sorry, Patrick. And Jeffrey lit a candle of reflection. He said, I've been dealing with pain for almost 4 years, and I'm trying not to suffer from it. Yeah. Jolynn lit a candle of gratitude. She said, for all the lovely people who were here yesterday in body or spirit to honor my dear, sweet, talented brother. Please take a look at the table, which is that one there back there, and leave a memory or thought about him if you have a chance and would like to do so. And Avery, our wonderful Avery, lit a candle of hope. They said, I have been fighting for Social Security disability for 7 years. Thursday will be my 4th hearing. I am tired of having to prove I am disabled enough to deserve help. Please send me luck that this will be the judge that believes me. Amen. And Elizabeth Kay lit a candle. She said, after a really rough week dealing with an unsustainable situation at school and work, she said, I'm taking a page out of Kevin, that's Jolynn's brothers, who we celebrated his life yesterday. She said, I'm taking a page out of his playbook and doing my best to let it go as much as possible. A beautiful memorial for Kevin yesterday here at church. And Kathy N. lit a candle of sorrow. Many of you know Mickey Jackson. She passed away on December 27th. She was a longtime friend of this church and a member of Tapestry, as a church south of us. The memorial service information will be posted in the blast later this week. Thank you, Kathy, for letting us know. I want to say that 3 people, Reverend Judy, Wendy, and Rose, all shared a candle of deep sorrow for Renee Good in our nation, all people impacted by the horrific actions by ICE and her death. For those online, on Zoom, excuse me, I'm going to grab some water. Annie would like a candle of sorrow lit. She said, I'm feeling some old losses strongly this week. Valerie A. lit a candle of joy, would like a candle of joy lit. She said, my parents just celebrated their 50th anniversary and they're still deeply in love. Oh, that's cool. Tony and Carrie, I expect that in 10 years, okay? Where are we? Okay. Let's see. Sharon B., she says she would like a candle of gratitude. She said, for Sean's sermon this morning, I want to know more about Buddhism. Yes. And Rebecca, she would like a candle of joy. She says, I'm thankful I get to attend service with my sister today. I love you, Nicole. So Nicole, I think, is online. So, oh, yeah, that's awesome. And Craig P., he would like a candle of sorrow and of joy. He said, a sorrow for Ed, that's his father, Ed's pain in his legs. He said, a joy for his embrace of being Buddhitarian, that life is painful and suffering is optional. And Nicole, she says, Reverend Sean, thank you for a great talk on Buddhism. I'm grateful to have my sister join online for one of your sermons. Thank you for everyone for all that you do. All right, well, let us hold in love all the joys and celebrations and all the hurts and sadness, whether they remain silent in our hearts or were spoken out loud. Please join Bertie in a spirit of prayer.
May I be a guard for those who need protection, a guide for those on the path, a boat, a raft, a bridge for those who wish to cross the flood. May I be a lamp in the darkness, a resting place for the weary, a healing medicine for all who are sick, a vase of plenty, a tree of miracles. And for the boundless multitudes of living beings, may I bring sustenance and awakening, enduring like the earth and sky, until all beings are freed from sorrow, and all are awakened. May it be so.
That prayer is also known as the Bodhisattva Prayer for Humanity. It was written in 700 AD, and it's performed each morning by the Dalai Lama.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning. As we go ahead and join me as let us join together as we extinguish the chalice, the flame of our chalice, and say together, we extinguish our chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Again, thank you for joining us this morning. If you're a guest, a visitor, or someone who hasn't yet been known to us, please, I invite you to be a part of this beloved community. If you'd like to know more about our church, we invite you to either stop by the welcome table in the courtyard or contact us by one of the many means that we have in order to reach out. Go ahead, and Zoomers are welcome to stay after and chat with one another online, and we do want everyone to feel that same sense of belonging that we all were lucky to feel when we joined this fellowship. So please, reach out, and we will reach right back. We do have some announcements today, and Reverend Sean will be able to go ahead and enlighten us with these.
First of all, I just want to let's just give a huge round for Zeno. I'm always excited when Zeno comes because, as some of you know, I'm trying to learn how to play the classical guitar, and I don't know whether to be incredibly, intimidated or just inspired. But it's just so wonderful. And this is a new guitar, by the way. It's beautiful if you get a chance to look at it. All right, thank you for being here, Zeno. I just want to let you also know I'm going to be... I know it's so, you can't help but play it. It's so pretty. I'm going to be out next week. Just so you know, I'm going to be out of town, but Kelly Kinsman will be here for any emergency pastoral care and everything. She knows how to get in touch with me. My friend Jewel is in town. for my annual trip, and we're going up to Santa Barbara. The other thing to note also is that thanks to Carol Rohr and a wonderful team of people, they have truly cleaned out the kitchen in the back there, which is amazing. Yay. Which is really, really cool. I mean, I'm like, wow, we have empty shelves, and you know they're going to get filled again. But Carol's watching it. At any rate, part of what they did is they took a bunch of stuff that we just don't need. And they put them in the community room, which is formerly known as Suite 7. It's just right across the way over here. And there's a bunch of stuff in there that we don't need. And if you would like it, feel free to take it. So go on over to the community room. There's lovely dishes and glasses and things like that just we don't need. So, but if you can use it, by all means, take it, because if you don't, it's going to go to Goodwill. Or something like that. So head on over there and see if there's some little treasure that you would like to take home. So that's basically what I have for announcements. You can see there's all these different ways that you can get involved. Unlike most sanghas, I just want to point out. Okay. And there is coffee hour. So, that's always a good thing. All right. So my last words for you is, just go out there and be the loving, truly core at your being love that you are. Let us sing our recessional song. Yay! This service is over. Let our service continue.